No. Now we're live. There we go. Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we find you 3 or 4 interesting tech topics. Weirdly, we're not going to cover any of the space news today, but yes, there was some really great landings, really great stuff. 3 space stories in the last 48 hours, but we can't get to those today. We have some other fun stuff to cover for you. But if there is a story you want to see covered, Creation Station at broward.org comes right to me. Today, I have our very first scientist in residence for Broward County Libraries. How are you doing, Neymi?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me today.
So tell people what you are doing. How the heck did we manage to pull this off and get you?
So I found you guys actually. I was looking for an indoor laboratory for my students because that is the whole concept of my program. I bring the laboratory to them. I am the founder of I Have a Scientist. And so through I Have a Scientist, I created a research methods program for children. So we get into the nitty gritty and we highlight and focus the strategies and techniques that scientists use across different science disciplines to collect data. And then how do we use that data? How do we interpret that data? And then how does this data fit into our everyday life? So that is what I essentially do.
All for free at your library, folks.
Yes.
Out at the North Lauderdale Creation Station Science.
Yes.
Wait till you see some of these programs. I've got a thing to highlight at the end of the show for you, but it is awesome. All of these different programs that are all coming up. Let's jump into these stories. And this first one, I know anybody out there's like, wait, Bob, how can you talk about this? You're talking about swimming pools? Hear me out. The Olympics are coming up in just a few weeks. And the U.S. Olympic swimming trials are right around the corner, and they are going to be held in Indianapolis, which doesn't have any Olympics swimming venues. So they built one inside of the Indianapolis Colts Stadium. And I read this and I was like, wow, this is so intense. What did you think when you started reading the story? What did you think when I sent you a story about swimming pools? Oh, Neymi's frozen. No, there you are. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, tell me.
It just brought me back to my days of playing water polo. Really, that's that is my constant connection with.
Oh, wow! I did not know that. That is awesome. I did not know you did water polo.
The construction and structuring and the planification, the engineering behind this is really amazing.
Yeah, I was just blown away by this. I mean, as you're building full Olympic-sized pools, plus the extra spaces for people to go practice in and get warmed up and then get over, and all of the stuff inside of one of these. And it also is a good sign of just how big a football stadium is they have, I'm getting to the picture of I skimmed right on by it. They put 2 full pools and extra seating in the middle of the football field.
No, it's amazing.
It's just crazy how big, when you're in one of these stadiums, you don't always understand just exactly what's going on. But yeah, I mean, these are not even partial millimeter things. These are micro millimeter joints that they're welding together to keep Olympics, all the water, all the stuff in here, all the purification that's got to go on, all the extra piping, all the new sewer stuff they had to build in. Just crazy.
All of the forces. They considered every single kind of force that could. That's just where my mind goes to.
I know, yeah. And I was like, and then I was like, really? They don't have anything like this somewhere else around that does this? And apparently this is the first time we've done it in the United States like this. We have a couple of dedicated spaces, Colorado, Fort Lauderdale, California has 2 of them, I think. But yeah, out in the Midwest, apparently they didn't have anything, so they just built it. It was just craziness. Now, this one's right up your alley there,
Oh, yes.
neuroscientist.
I saw that.
So if you want to get smarter, I'm always talking about this. You need to play, you need to do things. And here we have a new article, a new study that highlights just that. How much do you think about this one?
How plastic our brain is?
Yeah.
A lot, because as you get older, there are going to be changes, or it's going to be actually harder for your brain to make these plastic connections. And that is the whole cause of senescence and brain,
What did you phrase that again for me?
like aging, like getting
Oh,
older.
okay. No. Just before then, you just said what?
Senescence, I'm not 100% sure I pronounced it correctly.
Okay.
But senescence. So it's basically like your bodies and your cellular level, like you're aging at a cellular level. You're deteriorating with age.
Gotcha. Okay.
When it comes to that in the brain, that's why you see so many like brain related cognitive disabilities, because it's your brain pretty much losing the ability to make plastic changes.
Okay. So now, and part of the article here, and all, by the way, everything's in the show notes for everybody, because 2 of these articles are just like super intense. This is where, if you read or if you do a new experience, is the key thing. So, and we've talked about that on the show last year. We had an episode where they did a study about reading, and it turns out that not all reading counts. You need to read fiction. You need to read something that will stretch your imagination. You can't read nonfiction about something that you already know about. That doesn't, it helps you remember only those things. It doesn't help you do new things.
So it's all about your brain making new connections. That's essentially what it is. You want more brain parts in your brain to be activated at the same time. You want to feel pleasure, you want to feel reward, you want to feel excitement, right? These are the things that highlight these like tiny little aspects of your memory. So yeah, I agree.
and this right here is one of the things, this quote is like, should be out there for everybody to see, where the people who learn the fastest didn't need the most amount of studying. They needed the most amount of different studying. And if you studied 3 subjects over the course of an hour, that was better than 1 subject for 2 hours. Yeah. Totally paradoxical in my mind, but hey.
That's how I teach. I mean, I cut it up into different sections. That's how I teach. That's how I do my classes with my children, and I see that they retain it. You change it up. If they're little, every 10 minutes. If they're big, every 20 minutes. Yeah. Like, it works. It works.
See, this is why we need you on the show. We get help. We need this help here to make sure that we're getting the right information out of these. Now, this article is so much fun, just the headline alone. But it's a serious article. Trust me on this one, folks. So, whether you pee or not to pee, if you thought we're just going to throw up a 2-paragraph joke article, you've got the wrong show. Okay, you're going to have to explain this one. I'm going to go through some of these charts because I thought this was amazing. Just look at how deep and long. So, one, how you, in all seriousness, folks, so how you pee is really tied to how well you think and how well your brain is working. Because your bladder is a small little thing that expands as it fills up and it shrinks back down. And those nerve endings, showing right here, are the things that trigger your brain to say, wait, we're filling up. We need to empty at some point. And I loved this graphic right here because this really shows exactly the details about which parts control which parts and which things. And I was like, there's 3 different sections of the brain that control whether you're going to pee or not. So, Neymi, tell me, you read this whole article. Fill me in.
Well, so I couldn't really go into too much depth.
Oh, yeah,
I
we're not that kind of
wanted
show. Don't worry. Don't worry.
to, I wanted to really, I usually like to do more background before this, but um, so the brain, or what I like to explain to my students very simply, we have a reptile brain that reacts, and then we have our cortex, which is that like that light pink area, that
Hmm.
bigger area for humans, and that's what helps us think about this and make decisions about what we're going to do. So your reactive brain, that is what they're showing, that your lizard brain, your reactive brain, is your primitive brain, is what is governing and controlling your peeing. But of course, you have the cortex, which kind of helps you navigate, like, okay, but is it a good time? Should I do this
Yeah.
now? Right. So these are all signals that are being, it's a bidirectional signal between all of these brain regions and your bladder.
Yeah.
Top it all off. And like, and yeah, these connections happen so quick. These communications happen so quick. And so it basically, when it comes to the health of the brain, if you don't have good connectivity, good connections, maybe you have some kind of mental disorder, you are going to have those chances where you're not going to pee in the right situation, or
Right. Now, do you think that it's because one of the key things that I learned from this article is when you're training young toddlers and everything, that part of their brain isn't even developed until age 3 or 4
Mhm.
that can trigger those, wait a minute, I can hold it. I don't have to go right this minute. I kind of thought it was earlier than that.
No, that's just for like, you have to think about like primitive, like
Uh-huh.
evolutionarily, like primitive humans to now. And in the way that we develop, these are connections. There are so many more important connections on what they learn. They're learning language, they're learning stability, they're learning motor skills, fine motor skill, gross motor skills, how to navigate their world, that there's a time for them to now be able to develop these finer neural networks, basically between their brain and their body, right? They're so busy developing so many parts of their brain that takes a little bit of a backtrack. Like,
Hmm.
it's going to happen a little bit later. So that's why it doesn't, a child that is 7 and maybe like what's the bed by accident throughout the night, or even 8, that's normal, because maybe their bladder got too full. There was just a lack of miscommunication. They had a busy day. Their brain is actually covering something else at night that moment, right? Because your brain replays the day's experiences for you to actually save it onto memory. So their brain took precedence in saving memory versus, hey, wake up, your bladder's full. So
Nice.
yeah, that's
And
why.
and so then I kind of gathered what you're saying right there and what the article is that's one of the reasons as people get older on the opposite end that they become incontinent is because their brain loses those portions first because you remember the memory better. Your memory remembers the language and balance better than it does these learned.
That's the most important. What's better for survival?
Yeah.
What's most
Okay.
important for survival at the end of the day?
See, people, you never knew you were going to be learning this stuff here on this show today. The other one was they were trying to find out what they could do as a treatment for this. And I was like, they're they're using Botox, and I'm like, isn't that kind of permanent? If you like inject that there and it's in like your bladder that's supposed to be swelling and changing, and if you force it to not, isn't that?
Freeze it. I mean, at that point in time, it may be more beneficial for the person. I don't think it's a long-term
Yeah,
solution, but
I was, and then delivering electrical current to the nerves on the spinal cord, and I'm like, okay, no, I'll wear a diaper.
well, that would actually be more. So it's stimulating the brainstem to react to the bladder signals.
Yeah,
So, but to control that too, it's kind of like helping your body reach that right control, that right activational signal balance.
yeah,
So I would take that actually over the diaper. But
really. Okay, then see,
yeah,
I'm just like, wait, I don't know if I want like
it's gonna come a long way.
electrical things stabbed into my spine.
They
for
would
this?
probably have to do like an implant, but it's come a
Yeah.
long way. They've helped
Okay.
a lot of paraplegics like walk again.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
The technology is very much advanced.
Okay. Okay. And also, by the way, for anybody out there who's like, well, I just wait to go till I go home, I feel comfortable. There's a word for that. There is, oh, now I just had called latchkey incontinence, where as soon as you walk in your front door, as soon as you get home, like, oh, I got to go. It's because your brain associates where you are with being comfortable, being safe, and, oh, I can do this here. Now I can let go, and I don't have to keep this inside. I was like, I knew this was a thing because it's what my wife does, but I didn't know there was an actual word like that for this. So
yeah, it's safe space, because when you poop, it's either flight or fight, or you feel safe, and it makes sense. Like you get home, you let go.
yeah,
That's your safe space.
I was just so yeah. And look, by the we have to move on because we got another story to cover. But we didn't even get to like the second half of the story yet, folks. You got to go check these notes out. But there's one more story I wanted to get in. Well, we've got a real scientist here. Is fossil viruses that are part of our genome from ancient days, from things that are in there, they've discovered might have some of these sections might be doing with the with three separate neuropsychiatric, man, somebody's going to kill me on that one, disorders. So this is a brand new study. It's about 8% of everybody, all humans have this in their genome. So it's not like it's a specialty thing you inherit. I guess you could inherit only part of it, maybe, but it doesn't seem to be like genetic. From my reading of this, it didn't seem to be genetically based like bark or other genes that are high indicators of cancer or something. These just seem to be like there, and if you have it, you have it, and it just activates. Or am I wrong?
It means that you're more predisposed to
Okay.
the disease. Like you can have it, but it always depends. It's a nature and nurture kind of battle that also depends on your environmental demands. And that's where twin studies come in. That were
Yeah.
or not, they're like DNA wise, they're identical. They have the
Yeah.
same DNA and the same structure, the same coding, but depending on their environmental demands and experiences, epigenetic changes occur in the DNA that could cause these mutations, these genetic changes.
Yeah. And I saw this 80% heritability on like schizophrenia. And I was like, wow. I mean, that is just crazy that's in there. So they're doing some more studies now that they've proven this. There's some new studies that are being worked on. And it's just, wow. Some of the stuff they were really getting into this. How long do you think it takes to do a study like this?
Oh, well, it depends on how much data you have and how much data you have to comb through, and then the coding within your data analysis, because first you have to it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say close to a decade between
Okay.
years to a decade of combined data, because they did a lot of different like techniques. So you want to cross-reference it. You always want what you find. Yeah.
And now do you think that we have enough DNA samples out there, or
to cover the entire globe, like genetic?
Yeah, we know that there's a lot of stuff missing from those studies. So
a lot of these are just like one person, like the whole genome of one person, and it's usually one sex versus the other. So it kind of gives you an idea to where to start combing through more, but not the answer.
Gotcha. Okay. This is one of those things where you've got those hidden biases that creep up on people, where we think we're making progress, and then you look and say, wait, we left all these people behind. We need to catch up here.
Yeah. So we have an idea, but it's still, there's still a lot more work to do. But we have the technology now that we can do it faster.
That's good.
Yeah.
We can get there. I'm glad we can get there. And folks, this is the kind of information you're going to be getting when you go out there and visit North Lauderdale. Go visit Creation Station Science and take some of these classes with the people. And actually, you know what? I should throw that up. I got a link in the show notes for all of our summer catalog. But I mean, like, coming up right here all this week, all these different craft things, all the types of learning, tech for beginners, or scientists in residence programs going on, nutrition stuff, all the STEM stuff, all these things. We have a tremendous amount of stuff happening out there at the North Lauderdale Library. So please go follow up on this. It's supposed to be an adventure this summer. Go do something different.
Yes, come join us.
It's going to be fun. Thank you so much for being here, Neymi. Let me throw up our slide here. If there is a branch or a librarian you'd like to see featured on the show, reach out. Creation Station at broward.org. Go subscribe to the podcast, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.